be me. I'm 28, living in Brooklyn, yoga addict. Never really hang out with dudes unless it was to boost my ego after a bad breakup. LOL. I've been vocal since college about how men need to be better. Me and my girls, we're a tight-knit group. Somehow wish that evolution could get rid of all poor men so that there'd only be rich ones left to spoil us. You'd think I'm the one with the strongest opinions in our group. Wait till you meet Tasha, she's the best. She's always ranting about how she makes men pay for everything and then ghosts them. We cheer her on. Empowerment babe. My brother Luke is 31. He's a sweet, kind, shy dude. An engineer, still plays piano when he's stressed. Not really a dominant guy. He really doesn't have any close friends. He's always been the type to let others talk over him, but a proper good person. Rare, especially for a man. LOL. Me and him, not super close, but he's family, and he's always been there for me when I needed him. He's had a rough time dating, says girls don't take him seriously. Too nice or too boring? Whatever that means. I would usually go ham on guys that say that, but I know he's a good one, so I just think it's because he has no game. One night, during drinks, Tasha says she's ready to settle down. Says she wants a stable guy, someone to build a future with. Me. Light bulb moment. You should meet my brother. I set them up. They hit it off. Tasha turns on her charm. Luke is head over heels within 2 weeks. He starts texting me, thanking me. Says he hasn't felt this respected before. Tasha tells us he's sweet, thoughtful, brings her flowers, plans thoughtful dates. We say, aw, but also kind of cringe. Make sure he pays though. Tasha. Of course, LOL, I'm not going Dutch with a man. 6 months later, they move in together. She posts couple goals, content 24/7. Soft life loading captions. I'm proud. Told everyone at work that I helped create a power couple. She started asking weird stuff though. Wanted access to his work calendar. Said, I should be able to know what you're up to at all times, for when I miss you. He found it cute. I thought it was just being organized, but she'd text him if he was 3 minutes late replying, are you with someone else or just ignoring me? He'd laugh nervously. Says she just has attachment issues. I brushed it off. Everyone's got trauma, right? She started going on solo trips. One night, Luke called me. Said, do you think it's weird she's always gone on weekends? I said, she just needs space. Don't be insecure. He went quiet. Said, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like she's just waiting for me to mess up. I laughed. Said, no girl stays with a guy she doesn't like. Trust me. He said, okay. But something in his voice cracked. I brushed it off. Had a wine night, planned with the girls. Tasha called them self-care weekends. He'd ask where. She'd say, don't be controlling. That word stuck, because that's what she called him later in court. Yes, you won't believe where this ends up going. A year passes. They get married. Wedding was expensive. He paid for most of it. She joked about it when with us. If he can't provide, why even marry him, LOL? Usually I'd say something along those lines too, but for some reason it feels off when my brother's the one she's talking about. Nah, I'm overthinking it. At the wedding, Tasha kept making jokes. Can't wait to upgrade his wardrobe. His job title needs a glow-up too. Laughed it off. Thought it was her way of motivating. Me. She's just ambitious. Mom raised an eyebrow at the speeches. Luke's vows were personal. Hers were mostly jokes. I vow to never let him order for me again. Everyone laughed. I did too. Now it haunts me. They got back from their honeymoon and she immediately made a vision board. Said she wanted a Range Rover. Said Luke should aim for management. He was already doing well, but she wanted CEO status, kind of guy only. Told him to stop buying his Pokemon cards. We need to manifest a legacy. He tried to explain to her that they were a good investment too. She shut him down immediately, so he started selling all of them off. Tons of vintage Pokemon and graded stuff or whatever he said those were. Used that money to get her birthday gift, Chanel bag. She posted it. He understands the assignment. I thought they were thriving. I called it Power Couple Goals. We laughed. Another glass of wine, another clap back to the patriarchy. At first it seemed fine. Then slowly she starts texting less in group chat. Posts go from soft life to self-care is knowing when to walk away. I brush it off. Luke still smiles in family dinners, but less eye contact. Says he's busy a lot now, working overtime. Tasha shows up to our outings one day. Ask how things have been with her and my bro. Says he's not romantic anymore. Says she wants someone who keeps that same energy. Says he's distant, boring, too obsessed with his work. I say, maybe he's just tired? She rolls her eyes, says, "Men always use stress as an excuse to be emotionally lazy." Whole table agrees. I don't, but I don't speak up either. They even had a kid together. Baby girl, Lily. Beautiful. Looks like Luke. Tasha posted pics of her daily. Girl mom era. Kept saying she was going to raise a strong, independent queen. But every night she made Luke do diapers and 3 a.m. feedings. He never complained. He loved that little girl more than life. Started saving more aggressively. Told me he made a will. Said, "If anything happens, I want everything going to Tasha and Lily." I smiled. Said, "You're such a good man." He said, "I just want to protect my family." I didn't know he'd need protection himself. One day, Luke comes to my apartment. Face pale, hands shaking. Says he saw messages on Tasha's laptop. Some dude named Mark. Texts about how Luke was a good provider, but not exciting. Says she's been seeing him during her solo weekends. I felt my chest cave in. He says, "I don't know how to be angry. I just feel hollow." I say, "Confront her." He says, "She'll just gaslight me." He does anyway. She denies it, then says, "You've been neglecting me for months." He says, "I was working overtime to support you." She says, "That's not love. You're just doing it so you can have more money to buy your Pokemon cards." Next day, divorce papers. No warning. Luke texts me, "Did you know?" I didn't. He sounds broken, says she said she doesn't feel seen and wants to explore herself again. She moves out same week. Luke's still paying rent, starts getting worse. She's got a lawyer. She's asking for spousal support. Says he robbed her of her best years. They were married for 2.5 years. She posts subtle digs online. Never settle for potential. Protect your peace. Girls in the comments cheer her on. I watch silently. Court hearings begin. She plays the emotional abuse card. She said Luke used money to threaten her, that he made her feel financially trapped, even though she used his card freely. Even though he never once told her what she could or couldn't buy. Even the Chanel bag was proof he was buying her silence. Judge asked if she had income. She said she was working on a wellness coaching brand. Hadn't made a dime, but said being a mom was a full-time job. Court nodded. Tasha cried. On cue. Crazy honestly, it's like she knew what she was doing. Luke didn't. Just sat there looking like gravity was pulling him harder than everyone else. His lawyer said, he wants joint custody, no assets disputed, just peace. Tasha's lawyer laughed. Said, we're not here for peace, we're here for fairness. They took half his savings, a property that Dad gave to him for when he first started working. Suddenly, I feel like Tasha's robbed our family. On top of that, he had to pay $3,000 a month in child support. What on earth? I suppose he's going to be stuck with that bill for the rest of his life? She got primary custody of Lily. Judge said Luke can visit Lily twice a month, supervised, because he's too emotionally unstable. He cried in the hallway, not for himself, but because she won't remember his lullabies. Said Luke was too busy with work, as if that wasn't the reason he could provide in the first place. He left court, looked older than our dad. She says he neglected her. Mentions his long work hours. Somehow makes that sound like cruelty. Brings up a time he forgot to get almond milk. The judge nods. I sit in the back, stomach nodding. Luke looks drained. Hair thinning, bags under his eyes. He used to hum while cooking. Now he just stares into his coffee. She gets the apartment. She gets spousal support. He gets weekend custody of the dog. He texted me one night throughout this ordeal. 1:43 a.m. Just said, do you think she ever loved me? I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. Typed 4 different replies. Deleted all of them. Just wrote, I don't know. He never responded. I try to hug him outside the courthouse. He says, I should have known. I say, she changed. He says, no, she didn't. I freeze because I remember her bragging about ghosting men for meals, and I vouched for her. Weeks pass. I start avoiding the group chat. Tasha's in there still posting affirmations. Men should be lucky we even let them love us. Can't read it anymore. Block her. Ran into Tasha by accident, coffee shop we both used to go to. She looked surprised, but fake smiled anyway. Hey, stranger. Wow, I actually felt like strangling her. I said, you broke him. She blinked, sipped her matcha. He broke himself. I just chose peace. Something in me snapped. Said, peace? You drained him and called it growth. She laughed. Men aren't built for real women, not my fault. I said, you used him. She said, you offered him to me? Remember? My heart stopped because she was right. She wasn't even defensive, just cold, like she'd already won. Said, "You girls always act shocked when we cash out, but you cheered me on the whole way." I couldn't breathe, because deep down, I did. I called her a queen when she got the Chanel. I reposted her affirmations. I thought she was empowering herself. Turns out, she was just feeding on good men, and I gave her the plate. Family gathering. Luke shows up late, Mom hugs him, longer than usual. Saw him once from across the street, sitting in his car, engine off, staring at the dashboard, like if he moved, it'd all fall apart. I sit beside him. He doesn't look up from his plate. I whisper, "I didn't know she'd do that." He shrugs, says, "You warned me she was ambitious, not that she was cruel." I go home that night, cry for the first time in months. Look at all the old Instagram photos, the quotes, the hashtags, the empowerment chants, and I start wondering, was it ever really about equality, or just about winning? Can't stop seeing Luke's face at the courthouse. The man who used to build model planes now can't even sleep through the night because the woman I introduced into his life destroyed it. I stopped posting for a while, started listening instead, started to Google about men's point of view in divorces. Found a huge subreddit where men talk about their divorce stories, read every thread, cried more than I'd admit because they all sounded like my brother. Called my cousin Nate, haven't talked properly in a while. He picks up, asks what's up. I tell him about Luke. He sighs like he's heard this one before, says, "Yeah, that's why I'm never marrying." I ask him to explain. He says, "We can't win. If we don't pay, we're broke. If we pay, we're expected to keep paying forever. If we speak up, we're controlling. If we're quiet, we're emotionally unavailable. If we work a lot, we're neglectful. If we don't, we're lazy." I go silent. He says, "It's a trap. You can't be vulnerable as a man. They'll use it against you later." Says he had an ex take half his savings after 3 years, just packed and left, then called him toxic for not making her feel inspired. Says, "You think we're scared of love, we're scared of what happens when it ends. Because for us, it ends with court dates and debt." He pauses, says, "Tell your brother he's not alone." Hangs up. I stare at my phone. Remember every time I said, "Real men aren't afraid of love." I didn't know what I was asking them to risk. Once called a man weak for being scared of marriage. Now I get it. Now I see why they walk away, why they ghost, why they build walls instead of homes. Sat down with Luke last week, brought him his favorite tea. He smiled a little. I said, "I failed you." He nods slowly, puts the tea down, says, "You know what hurts the most?" I stay quiet. He says, "I did everything I was supposed to do, paid for dates, supported her, didn't cheat, worked hard, and I still lost everything." I try to respond, he keeps going. They say men are trash, but no one ever says what being a good man actually looks like anymore. Says he feels like a robot, a walking wallet with a smile. I wasn't her husband, I was her investment. I tear up. He doesn't. He's past tears. Says, "I look at couples now and all I see is traps." Says, "You marry the wrong person as a man. You don't just lose love, you lose everything you worked for and nobody shows up for you." I tell him I'm here. He says, "Too late now." Finishes his tea, says, "Just don't let more guys end up like this." I walk home that night. Wind hits harder than usual. My mind repeats his voice. I did everything right. Found an old photo of us from when we were kids. He was building a Lego spaceship. I had just cut all my Barbie's hair off. He said, "One day I'm going to make real rockets." I said, "Only if I let you." We laughed. He always smiled when I bossed him around, and I think some part of me never stopped. He said, "You believed what everyone else believed. You're not the only one." I said, "But I was supposed to protect you." Maybe that's what hurts most. I wasn't just a bystander. I helped set the trap. I handed him over to someone who saw love as currency, and now he's paying interest on trust. If you're a woman reading this, please don't ignore men when they say they're scared. Don't laugh when they say marriage terrifies them, because when it goes wrong, they don't just lose love. They lose their homes, their money, their kids, and worst of all, their peace. My brother did made me realize that while most men don't have game and kinda suck, not all of them are that bad. I cried in the bathroom that night, not for Luke, but for me, for who I used to be, for every girl's night I sat through, nodding at stories of when girls managed to take advantage of dudes like this, clapping for every man they discarded. We called it feminism, but now that it's happened to my brother, I don't want to say it is. Was I always this blind? Now I'm stuck thinking if I was just another version of her. I guess I just want to ask, like, seriously, was it really always this bad? Did you feel like this the whole time and just never said anything? 'Cause I don't get it. I mean, he was a man, right? He could have stood up for himself. He didn't have to let her walk all over him. That's not my fault, is it? I didn't force him. I just thought she was ambitious. I didn't know it meant destroy everything in her path. And now, I'm sitting here wondering, is this why so many of you just disappear? You stop texting back, you stop planning dates, you say you're working on yourself, but really, you're just bracing for the next hit. Is that it? Because I swear, I thought the worst thing we did was ask for the bill to be split, not whatever this is. How many of you gave it all and still got told, you're not enough? And when it all fell apart, you couldn't even say anything. I do think men need to stand up for themselves more, though, because if you can't stand up for yourself, how are you going to for your family? But to be fair, if he raised his voice once, he'd be seen as unstable. Was this always happening? And we just never saw it? Or did we choose not to? Now I can't stop thinking if I'm part of the reason he doesn't smile anymore. Now I hear his voice when I see couples smile, and I wonder how many of those men will one day whisper the same words. I did everything right.